Welcome back to a Guiding Light 9/11 online podcast.
Oh, yeah, it's great to be back.
Today, we're diving deep into the world of addiction recovery.
Oh, sorry.
Specifically, those 12 steps in Narcotics Anonymous.
Right.
But through the lens of the Guiding Light workbook.
Mm-hmm.
It's a companion.
Yeah.
Designed to kind of make those steps
right.
a little less daunting.
Yeah.
And a little more personal.
You know what's really interesting about this workbook?
Yeah.
Is how practical it is.
Okay.
It takes some of these concepts that can feel kind of big, abstract, overwhelming, and brings them down to earth. You know, it gives you like reflections, journaling prompts, exercises, so you can actually apply them to your own life.
Yeah. So it's about engaging, not just reading about the steps.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's jump into step 1 then.
All right.
Admitting powerlessness.
Yeah.
What does the workbook have to say about this crucial first step?
Well, you know, it really emphasizes honesty.
Okay.
It's about facing the reality of your addiction head on.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, it's not about blame or shame. Mm-hmm. It's about recognizing that you've hit that point where you just don't have control over your drug use anymore.
So like a moment of clarity.
Precisely.
That aha moment where the illusion of control kind of shatters.
It does. And you know what's really powerful?
Yeah.
Is the workbook drives that point home with this question.
Yeah.
Have you admitted that you are not like other people who can use drugs?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's stark.
It is.
But it's necessary.
Yeah, it is.
It's about confronting that truth.
Yeah.
And that can be a real turning point for people.
It does feel like that necessary wake-up call.
Absolutely.
And from there, we move on to step 2.
Okay.
Embracing a higher power. Now, I know this one can be a little tricky for some people.
I hear you.
Especially those who aren't particularly religious.
Right.
Or maybe have had negative experiences with religion.
Oh, absolutely. And you're right. This is a concept that often gets misunderstood or even misrepresented. Right. But the beauty of this workbook is it encourages you to define a higher power in a way that really resonates with you personally. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be the traditional idea of God. It could be nature, a community, a spiritual principle, even the collective wisdom that you find in those NA rooms.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
So it's about finding that source of strength outside of yourself.
Exactly.
Whatever form that takes for you.
Exactly. And, you know, one of the things I really appreciate about the workbook is it has you really think about insanity as it relates to addiction.
Okay.
So it asks you to define what insanity means to you and to consider how addiction might actually manifest as insane behavior.
So it's not just about embracing the higher power, but also looking at how addiction has taken you away from sanity, from a healthy way of being and acting in the world.
You've hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
It's about recognizing those patterns and acknowledging that you need a power greater than yourself to help you break free.
Okay. Yeah. And that leads us perfectly into step 3, surrendering to a higher power.
Okay.
So I imagine this is where we take the concept of a higher power to a whole other level.
It does. This is where we're consciously turning over our will and our lives to the care of that higher power, however we've defined it for ourselves.
Yeah, it sounds incredibly challenging. It's like a real act of faith and trust.
It is.
Does the workbook offer any guidance?
Oh, it does.
On how to actually do this, how to surrender?
You know, it encourages you to really explore your understanding of God or your higher power and to honestly assess your willingness to surrender. It's asking you, are you truly ready to let go and let a power greater than yourself guide your path?
So it's about relinquishing that control.
It is.
Which can feel scary and also liberating.
Absolutely. It's recognizing that we don't have all the answers and that there's this source of strength and wisdom that can help us navigate this journey.
And speaking of deep connections, that brings us to step 4.
All right.
Moral inventory, facing yourself.
Yeah.
So now it's time to turn inward.
Right.
Do that deep dive into who we are.
It's all about looking inward, taking this fearless and honest inventory of who you are. You know, the workbook gives you actual space to write out both your positive and your negative character traits. It's not about dwelling on the flaws, but it is about understanding yourself more fully.
So it's like taking a personal inventory.
Precisely.
The good, the bad, and everything in between.
Exactly.
That sounds like a really powerful exercise.
It is.
In self-awareness.
Yeah. And, it's about recognizing how those traits have contributed to your life, your choices, and ultimately your addiction.
It sounds pretty intense, though.
It can be.
How does the workbook guide people through this without being too overwhelming or discouraging?
It's all about framing it as a journey of self-discovery. Not self-judgment. It emphasizes that this inventory is for your eyes only. It's a safe space to be honest with yourself. And remember, it's not just about identifying the negative. It's also about recognizing your positive qualities, those strengths that you can draw upon in your recovery.
Yeah, I like that. So getting a complete picture.
Exactly.
Both the light and the shadow.
Absolutely.
Okay. So once we've done that deep dive into ourselves, we move on to step 5. Confession and sharing.
Right.
This step feels incredibly vulnerable.
Oh, it is.
Opening yourself up to another person.
It's vulnerable, but it's also incredibly liberating. This is where you take what you've discovered in step 4 and share it with another human being. Like someone you trust completely. Someone who will listen without judgment. And the workbook really emphasizes
the importance of choosing the right person for this. Someone who will hold your story with compassion and respect.
I imagine that releasing those secrets,
those
burdens,
they'd be so therapeutic
that you've been carrying, can be incredibly therapeutic.
Absolutely. It's about breaking the silence, ending the isolation that often comes with addiction. And it's about taking responsibility for your actions. And the workbook specifically prompts you to identify your role in past resentments, to acknowledge the ways you might have hurt others.
That takes a lot of courage.
It does.
Facing those difficult truths.
It does, but it's also the path to forgiveness. Both for yourself and for those you may have harmed.
So it's not just about confessing. It's about taking ownership and moving towards making amends.
And that takes us to step 6. Readiness for change. So now that you faced yourself and your past, it's about embracing the possibility of transformation.
It is.
It's about becoming truly ready to let go of those character defects. Those patterns that have been holding you back.
It's like preparing the soil for new growth. Creating that space for change to take root.
I like that. I imagine this step requires a lot of honesty.
It does.
With yourself.
The workbook asks some tough questions here. It's like, are you truly willing to let go of these defects? Are you ready to embrace a new way of being?
So it's about making a conscious choice.
It is.
A decision to step into a new chapter.
Absolutely.
Aligning your will with that desire.
Exactly. And knowing that transformation is possible with that support and guidance.
If you are looking for support and guidance, visit AGL911.com.
Absolutely.
It's a fantastic resource for anyone on this journey of recovery.
It is.
And we have so much more to unpack. Let's deep dive into the 12 steps. We'll be right back.